Just in time to hear about the Pac-12 in this situation with Washington. And we've done quite a bit of work on this because, again, I'm telling you guys, and I need you to understand that just because somebody says it, it doesn't make it accurate. I'm not telling you we're always right. I'm not telling you that we are the best in the business. I mean, we are, but yeah. I'm not going to tell you that.
Yeah.
From what I understand, there is a continuing divide in the Pac-12. We told you weeks ago now that Washington, Oregon, and the Arizona schools were 100% out on any TV distribution deal that was 100% streaming. That has not changed. We have told you that repeatedly. We were the first ones and the only ones to report that. People panned us on that, and then the news today comes out that Washington is trying to leave the Pac-12 to go independent. That is not what I have been told. I have been told that Washington is absolutely one of the schools in the Pac-12 that is against 100% streaming. Without question. Washington does not support going all in on Amazon. I understand it. I know why you would feel that way. But I'm telling you that Washington is driving the ship in the Pac-12. And if you don't know the lay of the land, some of the Pac-12 members have power, some of them do not. Oregon a little less right now because, frankly, they don't have a president. Washington's president is, I think, one of the most powerful figures in all of these conversations. There's just no question about that. What this conference gets is largely going to be driven by Washington, Oregon, and the Arizona schools, as it should be. I understand that. But there is nobody that has told me today that Washington is leading a coup, that Washington is looking to do its own distribution deal with Amazon. Why would Washington do that? Think about what that would mean. If Washington were to leave the Pac-12 and go independent and do a $40 million per year deal, which is, Marcus, like a ton of people sent me this story. And bless your hearts, I appreciate you guys always DMing me stories. Like, I really do. But will you please think about the nonsensical ramblings of people? Does it make sense for Washington to leave the Pac-12, knowing that they are now, I believe, tied to Washington State, to leave the Pac-12 to get a $40 million deal from Amazon?
Obviously not.
Think about what you're saying. They'd have to, the money that they would lose on Pac-12 affiliation, just in scheduling, and the money that it would take to schedule up, to travel, do you know how many years it took Tom Homo to build the schedules that they were able to build? And they did that with ESPN, who is, with all due respect to Amazon does not have the power or really, they don't draw the water in this town that ESPN does.
Facts.
I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
$40 million is not that much money when you're all alone. When you're in that little rowboat in the middle of the college football ocean, I'm telling you, that's not that much money. And nobody's going to help you. Nobody is going to help you. And do you really believe it's in Washington's best interest as an athletic department to just simply pull out of the Pac-12 after next year and say, we're out?
No, I guess not.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. Because when you look at the legislative side of things, you're tied to Washington State, number one. Number two, when you look at where Washington is, Washington's not Oregon. And I think Washington realizes they're not Oregon. And the only other thing I want to say before I bring Mr. Big News coming up later back onto the show.
Whatever.
I'm telling you now that this is far from over. And that they may have resolution in 15 minutes. They may announce a really poor, crappy TV deal. That doesn't mean that anybody's going to sign it.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that you have to understand is the way that this TV stuff works in the Pac-12 is George Kliavkoff's going to go negotiate a TV deal and then try to get 10 people to sign an agreement.
Hey, guys.
That's essentially what he's doing. And if one of those people doesn't sign that agreement, None of them can sign that agreement.
Uh-oh.
They're in bed together. And if Washington chooses not to do that, I would be stunned. Because it's never going to get there. It's never going to get to a point where Washington's the lone dissenter. Before George would ever go and agree to a deal, he is going to have the permission of his presidents, his membership, to say, okay, hey, this is the framework we're working with. Are you guys on board with that?
It's probably different than what you're thinking, though.
And Washington has said, no, we're not on board with that.
Yep.
Oregon has said, no, we're not on board with that. The Arizona schools have said, no, we're not on board with that.
Yeah.
That's where we are as far as Pac-12 goes. Nothing has changed. There was no big decision where Washington's pulling, like, you guys.
Washington didn't go the LeBron route with the decision.
There's no way Washington's trying to go independent.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
That just, do you hear, if you're reporting that Washington is going to bail on the Pac-12 and do a singular deal with Amazon, can I ask you a question? Why would Amazon pay Washington $40 million a year? For what? So wait, Washington, who we've told you doesn't want to be on 100% stream. You think now all of a sudden it's going to go independent to be 100% on stream? Bro, like, think about this stuff. Do you hear yourself? It makes no sense,
Bro,
man.
what are you talking about,
It
man?
makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
And I will go back to what we've been saying for months and months and months. They're not getting a TV deal until they expand. And they're not going to expand until they get a TV deal. So what does that mean? I don't believe that the Pac-12 is sustainable. I don't. Because if you're Gonzaga basketball, are you going to join the Pac-12 without a new TV deal?
Gonzaga.
If you're San Diego State, are you going to join the Pac-12 without knowing what the TV deal is?
Gonzaga.
If you're SMU and the Methodists, are you going to join the Pac-12 without knowing what the TV deal is?
In God's name, image, and likeness.
You're not doing that.
Bro, why'd you have to bring the Methodists into it, man?
Because we took so much crap yesterday. I felt like I needed a Kevlar vest when we were talking about SMU, and people are like, they're not the Methodists anymore. You know, you fat ass, they're not Methodist. Like, the comments, so many comments got filtered by YouTube about Methodists and fat ass.
There's some wild shit going on right now.
It was amazing. It was amazing to me.
Yeah.
I just am, I'm amazed. Where do you come down on this? Do you ever see Washington going independent?
Well, I don't think that, A, they're not going independent. I don't see that. And B, you make a great point about the streaming thing. Like, okay, so if you're not comfortable going all in on streaming as a conference, why would you go all in on streaming as an individual? How does that add up? How does that make any sense? How does that, calculate? Does that fit into the back of the envelope calculations equation? Not really, right? So to me, I look at this situation and I say, yeah, like Washington, I think, is not on board with all stream for the conference. I get that. But also, Washington's not dumb. Washington's not stupid. Washington understands that they're a power team in that conference that, potentially, or not potentially, like realistically, they are the team in that conference right now because, as you said, Oregon doesn't have a president, so they don't have anyone running the ship right now. So the problem is that Oregon really should be the top dog driving this thing, and they're not because they need some staff. That's the issue. So to me, I look at this whole situation, I just say, this whole thing about Amazon and Washington, this feels like a spinoff. This feels like Buddy in Minnesota got bored and had to write a story. That's what this feels like to me. And hey, if it comes to fruition, great. I'll eat my crow sandwich. But I'm happy today to die on the hill of Washington's not going anywhere. And if they do go somewhere, that would be going with Oregon to the Big Ten. That's what I think of this situation, 100%.
Yeah, I just don't think it makes a lot of sense at all that you're going to do that. I really don't.
Do you guys understand that if they're going to make a move like that, they damn well better hit. Like,
the
you can't
damage,
miss, dude.
But think about the damage that it would do to the Apple Cup. The damage that it does to Washington State to have the University of Washington go independent.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm pretty sure, and I can look it up, I'm pretty sure that there is a resolution at the minimum that says what's best for Washington is best for Washington State. So you're not just going to bail and go independent. This is, again, why I will point to USC and UCLA screwing the rest of the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Because that move is directly related to UCLA bailing on Cal for the Big Ten and UCLA having to pay a stipend to Cal. You're looking at Washington and Washington State in largely the same boat. And it just makes no common sense.
Yeah.
It makes no common sense whatsoever.
By the way, there's also this bit of news, as long as we're talking about this, about the Big 12 talking to Fresno State, and they've had multiple conversations. And I'm telling you guys, the Big 12 is super aggressive, and they're constantly looking to expand and constantly looking to bring more revenue into the conference. I wouldn't at all be surprised if they added San Diego, if they added Fresno. Like, Brett Yormark can sit on that video that we played yesterday and tell me all day about how him and Georgie Poo aren't competing. My ass, you're not competing. The moves you are making tells me that you see a need to do what you need to do, which is, hey, make sure that the Pac-12 doesn't get the upper hand on you, and make sure that you keep them under your thumb, because that's right where they are. Think about it, right? Brett Yormark had got out to market early, got the TV deal done so that he could say, hey, we've got reliability, we've got stability. Hey, by the way, anybody notice TCU went to the college football playoff final, right? The national championship game? Like, Brett Yormark has this thing humming. So the idea that the news will come out that he and Fresno State have had like 2 or 3 conversations, that wasn't surprising to me. I know Fresno State's not some marquee brand, right?
Yeah, I am just amazed. I am just amazed that you have a scenario where, I'm not even going to talk about the guy who started these rumors. They're meaningless. They're meaningless. You have somebody who man, you just got to slow your roll a little bit. That's all I'll say. Let's get your thoughts in here. Here's, by the way, again, just because I went through the whole cycle today of, hey, what's new? What are we doing? From what I understand, there is a contingency plan. If they can't get a new deal that makes sense for them, I just think the Pac-12 is going to wait and try to expand. But sources told me that Gonzaga has told the Pac-12 that they would not join unless they knew what the financials look like. And right now, the Pac-12 can't make that deal. They can't. And the other issue is that Gonzaga doesn't need they don't need to go anywhere. They write their own ticket. Gonzaga is not San Diego State.
Right.
Gonzaga is not Fresno State. Gonzaga is not Boise State.
Yeah.
Those schools, if they go to the Pac-12 today, it's a pay raise for them. It's a pay raise, right? And the other thing is this pro rata agreement in the Big 12 in their TV deal. I want to make sure everybody understands this, because in our member chat, there was a big argument about this apparently today, or a conversation. I've seen people on Twitter getting this wrong. In the Big 12's new TV deal, if they add a Power 5 program, let's say from the Pac-12, they get equal money for that
program.
If they were to add San Diego State, they would not get equal money for that. So you want to wait out the Pac-12 and see how deep the water gets around Klyavkov's throat before you just go lurching at San Diego State, because you're not going to get paid P5 full share money from ESPN and Fox on that, right? The exception is Fox, who's got most of the college basketball package in the Big 12. I am told would pay full freight for Gonzaga to join the Big 12 as a basketball-only member.
Yeah.
So the pro rata does not mean that nobody who joins will. It means that if they go and get a G5, a San Diego State, a Mountain West team, those guys aren't getting paid full freight. If they go and get a Washington State, like the Arizonas, the Colorados, the Utahs, they go and get those guys all get full freight.
That's right, T.
That's what the pro rata is about.
Yeah.
So I would just, again, I'm asking you, and I don't mind that people send me tweets and DMs. I totally get it. I'm just asking you to think logically. Does it make sense that Washington's going independent? It makes no sense. And
he don't know nothing.
And the source on that is quite literally Jimmy in his car with the garage door closed and the engine's running, sending out tweets before his dying day. Like, I mean, you guys, seriously.
Yeah.
You gotta.
Be better.
I mean, it's remarkable how many people just want to run with stuff. Brandon Butler says Packers front office has Stockholm syndrome. They have gone full Patty Hearst.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Henry Ginder says, UW fan here, there's no way they go independent. Better to just stay in the pack. Yeah. It would be such an uphill climb for Washington Athletics to be independent. I mean, you have to remember that you're not Notre Dame, who, by the way, is just independent in football. So do you think they're going to let you just pull the football program out of the Pac-12?
Bonnie, please.
No. Like, do you know how hard it is to be a full-fledged independent? Ask BYU, who was in the WCC. Right? Like, it's so, you can't possibly fathom the amount of scheduling it takes, the effort, the money that you have to pay teams to play you. Because you don't have a conference schedule.
Yeah.
The effort, the time, your TV, your radio, everything is instantly devalued. Everything is instantly devalued. All of your big traditional games gone in a blink. Because you really think Washington State's going to make themselves available to play the Apple Cup? Like, why would the Pac-12 give them a window in late November to play the Apple Cup?
I just think from all sides of this thing, it's a silly decision. It would be like asinine to go independent after, being in the pack for however long it's been. And with the current landscape, look, Washington's not going to make some dumbass decision about, going independent. Like, it doesn't logically add up. And I'm not really in the business of hating on, who are your sources guy. That's not really what we do on this show. I'm not really like, we're not really that show. But when it comes to Buddy in his garage with his car running, I think we need to say that.
Yeah, man, it is. I can't believe how far the Pac-12 has fallen. I mean,
is falling.
Yeah, I mean, they're not done yet. They haven't hit the bottom
dude.
yet. They haven't hit the bottom yet. I mean, you look at the devaluation of the Oregons and the Washingtons and the irrelevance of, with all due respect, the Oregon States, the Washington States, Cal.
With all due respect.
Cal is completely irrelevant.
You're getting
everything.
all these articles, by the way, of what we've been saying, too, about how, like, you have this group of teams, like the Four Corner Schools, the cute little term, the Four Corner Schools, and a couple like Washington and Oregon. You have those schools, and then you're getting articles talking about the rest, the cleanup, who's going to get the scourge of the Pac-12. That's what I'm saying, dude. This thing's only heading one direction. You know what I mean? Like, this thing is heading down a certain path, and that path doesn't lead to long-term viability for the Pac-12. And I agree with the comments we're getting. Nothing's going to happen until they go all in and find a way to get San Diego State to join the damn conference. You've got to expand before you get a TV deal done. And I don't know. I would guess George understands that. Like, I have a hard time believing that, Mr. Back of the envelope calculations doesn't understand that to get a TV deal done, the TV person's got to know what they're paying for. It's the same concept with Gonzaga, as he was just saying. So, like, that's why I say we're sitting here, and I'm not even complaining. I love having this conversation, but we truly are having the same conversation every day, it feels like, about the situation, who's going to be added, who's not. And then we get crazy tinfoil hat guy over here talking about Washington going independent. That's what happens when there's nothing really to talk about with it. Tinfoil guy makes something up or comes up with something, whatever the case may be, and just throws it out there, man.
Tinfoil guy makes something up.
I mean, seriously, that's what this feels like. It makes no sense. Like,
zero.
Like, I would say, like, I feel like I'm pretty good about being like, hey, like, I disagree with this, but I can kind of see the logic. I don't see the logic in this at all. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, I would agree. And this tweet right here by John Wilner, and John's a guy I think we all respect. But this tweet really bugs me because it's just not true. I have asked, I must be at 30 people now I've asked about research money. And I've been told directly that your research money has nothing to do with what your athletics are doing. Nothing. You are AAU or you are not, period. And it's based on your credentials. So John Wilner today, Wilner Hotline on Twitter, lots of noise, and admittedly, I am but a half-shelled peanut in the realignment gallery. But curious, for example, what Utah President Taylor Randall, whose university became AAU just 4 years ago, which means they got an influx of research money, would tell his faculty if the Utes left a conference with 6 AAUs for a conference with 1. Like, what does that have to do with anything? How does a guy like Wilner, and maybe I and the 30-something people I've talked to about this, we're all wrong, and Wilner's right. But as it's been explained to me by numerous people,
Yeah.
if Utah or any other AAU member in the Pac-12 is littered with them, if they were to leave Pac-12 athletics and go to the Big 12, it has nothing to do with your research money. Because again, and I think John Wilner knows this, you're not picking up Rice-Eccles Stadium and putting it on a truck and driving it to Stillwater or to Big 12 country. Just because you're in the Big 12 conference doesn't mean you leave. The AAU,
I must have missed the news article that came out about the AAU only being affiliated with the PAC. Did I miss that? Because that's what that tweet suggests.
I'm amazed by it. And it is the Association of American Universities. What about the University of Buffalo? What about Case Western Reserve University? Because last time I checked, Case Western wasn't in. Now, I could be wrong.
You could be wrong, but
Last time I checked, Case Western University wasn't in the Pac-12.
oh, dude, look. It's Stony Brook University, bro.
What are we talking about here, man? Like, this is a group of institutions that are aligned philosophically when it comes to research.
Facial recognition.
And I'm just trying to figure it out.
Like, you guys understand. I just want to make sure we're all very clear on this. That the 5 P5 conferences have absolutely nothing to do with a school being or not being AAU affiliated, right? Like, you understand that. So the idea, let's show the tweet one more time. Let's show it one more time. The idea that a guy like this,
the caliber of a John Wilner would say this
is incredible.
I like, that is head scratch. You're essentially saying that if Utah leaves the Pac-12, they lose their research money. Like, are you serious?
Okay, and maybe, hey, and let me be little Jimmy in the sunflower field, Mr. Positivity here. Maybe what he meant by this tweet was somehow because the PAC has, 6 AAUs and the Big 12 has 1 AAU, that somehow the PAC is better. We all know damn well the PAC is not better.
I'm just
from a health
telling
perspective.
I'm just telling you.
Come on now.
That you cannot continue to believe this crap.
Come on.
Because I'm really, I will again tell you, I'm getting worn out on this. Because I don't understand it. And if somebody wants to explain it to me,
Because it's garbage.
please do. Because this is directly from the AAU membership website, the AAU website.
Right.
Can somebody explain to me where it says, fuck the Big 12, we're not paying you research money if you join those losers in Stillwater? Can somebody explain this to me? And excuse my French, I realize I just cursed. But where does it talk about conference affiliation? Where in its membership principles, is there a number 5 that I don't see here that says, hey, T. Boone Pickens, you jerk? Is there somewhere that it says, Manhattan, Kansas means you're out? The members of the AAU shall approve appropriate criteria for assessing the breadth and quality of these programs and shall apply these criteria in making judgments about potential new members of the association and in assessment of current members.
Okay, so here's the English version. Our committee is going to evaluate each institution and make a determination on whether they can be an AAU or not. Plain and simple. That's what that says. And so, to me, again, this is why I say, dude, like, I respect the fact that Wilner and Canzano are Wilner and Canzano, meaning they've got to the position they're in, they've worked their ass off. I don't deny what they've done and what they do. But what really bothers me about it is there's almost this acceptance, almost this intentionality about tweeting or putting out articles or having Buddy on your podcast, Kleovcock on your podcast, and doing really biased stuff. This tweet is incredible because it suggests that John Wilner, the John Wilner, thinks that that's how AAU works.
There's nothing that says that.
Like,
it on their website, and I encourage you, again, their website is aau.edu. That's their website, aau.edu. And they're a research website. They're a body of researchers. They're not like, oh, well, you know what? TCU, well, you know what? Utah lost the Rose Bowl again. We're going to have to reevaluate their membership as a research institution.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Because we don't feel like they research the Ohio State defense very well.
I'm unfamiliar with it.
And look, again, Wilner and Canzano, I know that they have their nose inserted rectally into the Pac-12. I totally get it. I totally understand it. This goes back to them talking to George Kleovcock and having him on their show and allowing him to put out a hit on UCLA and never acknowledging that or apologizing for it, to all of a sudden now they're kissing Brett Yormark's ass on their podcast the other day.
yeah.
It's crazy to me. All right, your thoughts here on the Monty Show. By the way, this hour of the show is presented by Bucked Up Energy. You guys, let's go. You have done such a good job of supporting our Bucked Up links. They're in the description below. Bucked Up, as you guys know, is the official energy drink of the Monty Show. Monty.
Our favorite flavor is Miami. Okay,
By far. Are you on board with that now?
Yeah, I'm on board with it now. I'm good.
You're on board with it. Okay. So you can go to any Bucked Up store, walk in the front door and say, hey, the Monty Show said that you guys are going to give us a free can of Bucked Up Energy.
Yes.
Where's my Miami? They're going to give it to you. Or you can go online at buckedup.com, use the promo code Monty to get 20% off your purchase.
I want better fucking execution.
Or, and this is what I would tell you to do, if you're not familiar with Bucked Up somehow, which I think is crazy, but if you're not familiar with Bucked Up, click the link in the description below, and you get 3 free samples and a free shaker cup to use them in.
Yeah.
Their shaker cups are otherworldly. They're amazing. And it's free. They'll send you samples in a shaker cup. And then go back to buckedup.com once you figure out how amazing the samples are and use the promo code Monty. But right now, get into the description, click on the link that says free samples, and they'll be at your door. Like, some people are getting them next day. Like, they ship really quickly.
Yes.
Hook it up. Get yourself some free Bucked Up. In the description below, or go to buckedup.com. Use the promo code Monty to get 20% off your purchase. All right, let's get your thoughts in here. Gumby Too Sexy says AAUEIOU and sometimes WWU. That's exactly
okay.
right. Exactly. Let's see. D-Rock Irish, what's up, my guy? He says Nebraska was brought into the Big Ten and initially were not given certified. We're not even certified AAU.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Are you sure?
Like, come on, dude.
Are you sure? I don't know that. Oh, my God.
Idiots.
This research thing is so frustrating. I mean, it is seriously frustrating. It's 65 universities, man. And again, I think the best part of this is, hey, man, it's the University of Buffalo. It's Carnegie Mellon.
No, I thought you said Carnegie Mellon.
Does Carnegie Mellon have a football team? Northwestern University. Does Northwestern University have They do, and they're terrible. I grew up like 2 blocks from what was then Dyke Stadium. I mean, Tufts, UC Santa Cruz. Like, you just look at some of these universities and you're like, dude, what does athletics have to do with the time of day?
Nothing.
At Massachusetts Institute of Technology, otherwise known as MIT, nothing. Stop it. I love you. I do. We're friends. CKS says, does Utah have competent leadership? I wonder. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your definition of competent.
That's all
You know
it
what I
is.
mean?
Yeah. You know. Ken Williams says, hey, all, I just got in from the fields.
What's up, Ken?
Did you pet your Longhorns?
Bro.
You know. Greg Hawkins.
If you felt these balls,
Greg Hawkins says, as for Wilner, if the 4 corners end up in the Big 12, then they would be 4 AAU schools in the 12, not 1. Kansas, Colorado, Utah, and Arizona.
It's just an asinine take.
It is.
And I'm not one to like be like, hey, he's an idiot. Like, those two are clearly plugged in and yet still are saying these things.
Yeah. McKinley Cutler says, according to my sources, Donovan Mitchell has been traded to the Knicks. Is he the one saying this?
Unbelievable.
No way, McKinley Cutler.
McKinley, are you on the radio show being texted about Don going to the Knicks?
No. You know what he's talking about?
What?
The guy in the morning, remember that? It was like, oh, the Donovan Mitchell trade to the Knicks is done. And then he retracted it.
Yeah.
Remember? You know what I'm talking about? Like, I don't want to call a guy out by name, but
yeah.
Is that McKinley? Is that who said this? That's crazy. D-Rock says this program really digs into the Pac-12 situation. Kudos for keeping us updated. Most college football landscape is incoherent or doesn't really know what is transpiring in the Pac-12. Well,
dude, yeah, I appreciate that comment, first of all. I appreciate that.
We just happen to have relationships with people who are in the middle of a lot of great stories.
Yeah.
And it's because we've worked in media for decades. That we just, when you work in the same industry for 30 years, you're just, it's a coaching tree, essentially.
Facts.
You just know people who are here, there, everywhere.
And then when you've been doing the show for 8 years and they know you do the show and, you know, they want to contribute to the program and make it better and they want to help and they want to do things, like, it just, you know, again, and I'm not even being pat myself on the back guy. It pays to know people, as the saying goes, and we happen to know some people.
Yeah, totally agree. Stop DMing me links to this, dudes. So many people are DMing me links to a guy that's got seven followers, and if you just go in, no.
What the fuck are you, Ranger Rick?
No, I'm not doing it.
Don't fall into the trap, dude. We're good.
I am not
We're good,
doing
bro.
it. I'm not. No, I'm putting my Twitter DMs away.
Yeah, put it away.
I'm just telling you. But is that true, McKinley? Is that where you're...
Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that's the same guy who said that? Or
no, he said no, just giving an example of how people will throw stuff out for clickbait. Okay. I was going to say, if that's the same dude...
We're a clickbait show. You know that, right?
You know, we just want, you know...
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. If AAU is a determiner for research partnerships, then what exactly is holding schools back from jumping to the Big 12? Just incompetent leadership? Kliavkoff being Kliavkoff? I think it is. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about this. I don't have a dog in the fight, man, but I think it's arrogance. Why would Mark Harlan, and I'll go back to this tweet because I think it's incredibly relevant. Why would Mark Harlan just reply randomly and not reply, quote tweet, quote, we're not leaving, when there is a conversation about how the Pac-12 had its own platform on Friday night and couldn't outdraw 2 Big 12 teams not named OU and Texas? That right there, Greg Hawkins, that's why you're in trouble.
Yeah.
That's why you're in trouble. And again, I just simply say I look at the news that you get from people continuously. And again, I'll use Wilner and Canzano. John Wilner he's the best Pac-12 guy I know. And over the last 6 months, he's turned into a homer. Like, it's shocking.
Yeah.
He's turned into a guy who will never report anything negative about George Kliavkoff. John Canzano, one of the most respected voices in the Northwest, has turned into a complete homer on the Pac-12.
Oh,
like, they let a guy in George Kliavkoff come on their podcast and just spout information, and at the end of the day, turned out not to be true.
Yeah.
About UCLA. It was, and if you remember, we said on the show, it was a hit piece. And I just don't know how you explain that, man. Like, why would you do that? You have, like, their Yormark interview was okay.
Yeah.
But you could tell, with all due respect to Wilner and Canzano, I just don't think that they were well prepared on Big 12 issues.
With all due respect.
Yeah,
they were there to try and get dirt for the Pac-12. That's what it felt like.
You know, I think that in media, a lot of people are willing to sacrifice the truth to gain the convenience and the ability to say, hey, this dude came on our show. Or,
dude, this
hey,
is John Wilner.
I get it. It's John Wilner. I get it.
You know how
dude.
long I've trusted John Wilner?
Yeah. And again, and I know typically, you know, our conversations get to this point, but I'm going to say it. John Wilner doesn't mean as much to me as he means to you. And John Wilner,
that's true.
John Wilner is showing me his true colors. As you said, the last 6 months, it's very clear what they are doing with this Pac-12 situation.
It really is, yeah.
And it does bother me. That doesn't mean that I hate them or that I dislike them. But this is much like my opinions on local media. I'm not going to respect a media outlet that's going to cater to, you know, pander to a body because they want them on the show, right? That's why I always have an honest conversation about Ryan Smith, because that's what's correct, even if he doesn't want to come on the show. Even though I guarantee you, and I will die on this hill, that dude will come on this show before it's over. He will, at some point.
Tanner T says, I love this tweet by Mark. The overconfidence of saying Utah is the best draw program in the Pac-12 is awesome.
Yeah.
When the fact is, what Mark Harlan should be saying is we're one of the most underutilized athletic vehicles in the Pac-12. Nobody knows how good Utah is. Nobody knows how good Whittingham is. Nobody knows how, you know.
But they don't believe that. They don't believe that. Utah, like, you know, Mark Harlan, you know, Witt, I don't think they believe that.
I mean, nobody knows. How many people can name 3 people on Kyle Whittingham's staff? Like, if Andy Ludwig isn't getting embarrassed and embarrassing Notre Dame through no fault of his own, do you know who Andy Ludwig is? Like, the guy that nobody knows. Does anybody know who Jim Harding is?
Hey,
Jim Harding's one of the best offensive coaches in the country, and nobody knows who he is.
Hey, who played in the Rose Bowl this year? Well, Penn State did, right? It was Penn State. Do you remember who they played? Nah, but they won.
Yeah.
They dominated that game. They won.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is.
Yeah. Greg Hawkins says Wilner is trying to save his job. Really? Do you really think that John Wilner is trying to save his job?
Why do you think that, Greg? Just because I know you usually, when you have takes like that, you are pretty informed on it. So why do you think that?
John Wilner is a guy that is, sure, he does the Pac-12 hotline, the Pac-12 mailbag, San Jose Mercury News. Like, he is phenomenal at his job. If the Pac-12 dissolves tonight, he's all of a sudden going to become a Big 12 hotline guy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's not, I don't think John Wilner's out of a job. Cal, Stanford, everybody in, you know, the Pac-12 is still going to play football under a different umbrella. I just don't understand the need to try and, I don't know what this is, placate the Pac-12 or save the Pac-12 or advocate or espouse for or bloviate. Like, I don't get it.
Doesn't make you feel responsible.
I don't understand it. And the thing that's hard for me is John Wilner is a go-to news source for me. Like, every time he puts something out, I read it.
Yeah.
I look forward to his work. Canzano, okay, not so much. Like, I lost a lot of respect for John Canzano in that interview with Kliavkov. I really did. Like,
Yep. No, I don't blame you.
I mean, really lost a lot of respect for him.
Well, and I think it's what we see, you know, and again, I'm not trying to turn the tide of the conversation, but I just think we see it. It's funny we're talking about this with Wilner and Canzano in the Pac-12 situation because we see this all the time. This isn't new. Like, this isn't some... Dude, we put a short out today about how the staff at Fox News all knew that the election fraud thing was a lie, and like all this stuff was made up. Like, but they're fine running that stuff because they want to be relevant. Like, and that's what I kind of feel like is happening here. Hey, we see the yellow brick road isn't so yellow anymore in the Pac-12. So we're gonna cater to George and be an outlet for him so that we can survive. When the reality should be specifically for John Wilner, because I agree with you, Canzano's whatever, Wilner's really the brass. For Wilner, dude, if Buddy would just write honest articles and really give you a take, he would be fine for as long as he wants to write because he has such good work.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm the Wilner thing sticks in my craw a little bit. You know, like it's to me, I really respect John Wilner. I really like John Wilner's work. Like it's.
How long have you been following him? How long has it been, like, generally speaking, like
years.
ballpark?
I couldn't even tell you. As
like
long
5
as,
years, 10 years?
Yeah. Yes. Like, I don't know how far back I would go, but I mean, he's had a great career. Like the guy,
Yeah.
I mean, he's not even old, but I just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Lopes fan Gabe says, like button casuals. Where are we at on the show? I haven't looked. We're at about 1,000 views. And granted, Friday is always a very slow day.
Friday light. Yeah.
Friday light all the time.
Yeah.
About 1,000 views and 44 likes. Yeah, so if all 133 of you could hit the like button, that would be amazing. Cyclone Steve says, did the PAC announce their TV deal yet? They have not.
No, sir.
I have not. And I still maintain, and I'd love to see your comments on this. I've said it yesterday. I said every time we talk about this, on the Pac-12, I go all in with Amazon. Now, if you're just tuning into the show, there is an update in that there really is no update. That's the update.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for coming.
All right, thanks. See you tomorrow.
Okay, take care now.
All right.
The Pac-12 remains split. There was this ridiculous rumor that Washington was attempting to go independent and leave the Pac-12 and do its own TV deal with
All
Amazon.
gas.
I'm told that's completely not true.
Yeah.
That in the way he put it, the guy I talked to who's very close to this situation said, it's not impossible, it's stupid, and it is highly unlikely that there's any veracity to that story.
Yeah.
Because it just makes no sense. Because the number thrown out was, I think, like $30 million or something stupid like that. Wouldn't you just join the Big 12 and make the same money?
Like, save yourself the time.
Right? Why would you do that? But, you know, I also have had a couple of conversations today about the fact that the Pac-12 remains divided on the veracity of a Tier 1 stream deal. And that Washington, Oregon, and the Arizona schools, again, I was confirmed today, none of them are on board with a Tier 1 best games on stream. Yeah. None of them. And the funny thing is that we continue to hear different levels of interest from Amazon. And I don't know what the truth is. What I do know is that Amazon has wavered back and forth between, yeah, we'll be your Tier 1 provider, to, yeah, we'll take, 2 games a week and stream your 2 biggest games. And that, this is how ESPN and Amazon would do a deal together, would be that, yeah, hey, we'll stream 2 games on Amazon. And you know what? We'll of the $250 million per year per year of the contract for 7 years, we'll pay you $100 million and we'll take your 2 biggest games of the week. ESPN will get everything else and allegedly would pay $100 million a year. The problem with that is that's only $200 million.
Right.
Where's the other 50 going to come from?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were counting on CBS, who said no thanks. They were counting on Fox, who said no thanks. So you're stuck, and that's why there hasn't been a TV deal done.
But I think to your point, that's why they need to take definitive direction and, in our opinion, go all in on Amazon. But you just have to go. You just have to take a direction.
Because I don't believe that. I think the reason now that there's some hesitation there is because I don't think Amazon's willing to pony up $1 gazillion for this. And by the way, the other thing I'd like to say is just because Amazon had layoffs this year, and just because a certain business unit of a massive billion-dollar company goes through layoffs does not mean that the sports division at Amazon is broke. Just because Disney laid off in its entertainment division doesn't mean that ESPN is broke. I would remind you that Bob Iger said that ESPN is profitable.
Yeah.
So you got to stop reading into, hey, Amazon laid people off. Hey, ESPN laid people off. I saw today at a major news outlet, ESPN laid people off. ESPN did not lay people off. Disney laid people off.
Yeah.
ESPN is remarkably profitable. They're doing quite well. And a lot of it is they've done pretty well churning more money on multi-platform. Now, ESPN Plus has cost them money, but the rest of their universe has been quite profitable. The NBA has been profitable for ESPN. Now, you look at college football, they're making a ton of money on the college football playoff. Like ESPN doesn't need to overpay the Pac-12 because they're already profitable, man.
Well, and it's like this thing. They already have the SEC, right? Like everyone seems to forget that. Hey, the SEC is going to be on ESPN.
They've got the SEC. They've got the Big 12. They've got the ACC. Like, you
Because
guys,
it's all part of the plan.
what are they desperate for?
Nothing.
They've got the NFL. What are they desperate for? They're not desperate for anything.
Yeah.
So the idea that ESPN, and I don't know, I don't have a high level of confidence that ESPN would take tier one rights, but I also don't think they're going to exceed $100 million.
But if you're ESPN, aren't you sitting here watching the wick burn away on the Pac-12 candle? And you're like, all right, we're gonna keep waiting for these guys to kind of suffer and fizzle out, and then we're gonna get right in there. If Amazon chooses not to do this, or if they go a different route, would anyone be surprised if Amazon leveraged the hell out of if ESPN leveraged the hell out of the Pac-12 to get a really cheap deal done?
I think if Amazon were to pull out of this, or if ESPN were to pull out of this, the Pac-12 would collapse. Honest to God, because nobody else is going to bid on your tier one, dude. Fox, again, we reported it first in August. Fox told the Pac-12, we're not interested in tier one. Our plate is full. Fox doesn't have the inventory for tier one rights to the Pac-12. They don't have the landscape. So you go to CBS. CBS has limited landscape. Okay, well, let's go to NBC. NBC now also has limited landscape with the Big Ten, but they're also trying to keep Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So you guys, the place that you put this in, and I would also remind you that, hey, ESPN's got the NHL, ESPN's got the UFC. You look at the NASCAR deal, you look at all of the Major League Baseball deal, the NBA deal that's coming up.
Yeah.
Those are far more attractive. Do people realize that the NBA deal that Amazon's trying to get is far more attractive to them than the college football deal with Pac-12? I'm not trying to be an alarmist here. The Pac-12 is teetering on disaster. They have
code 10 abort.
Quite literally a crisis of their very existence, an existential crisis. You're watching it explode in the face of the Pac-12 right now today. Because if ESPN or Amazon pulls out, it's over.
Yeah.
Nobody's signing that grant of rights for 7 years at $150 million.
Yeah.
Nobody. And I have told you this repeatedly. My sources have told me that Amazon's at $100 million. And ESPN at one point was at $150 million. But I think they've come off of that.
Well, why wouldn't you come off of it? I mean, that's what I'm saying. ESPN's just sitting here waiting.
It's a very dangerous place, man. It is, because ESPN just has so much programming.
Yeah.
They just don't need to waste money.
Program.
They just don't need to. All right, let me get some of your comments in here. I know I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry. M. Morris says, now you're pulling out that AAU vocabulary. Exactly right.
Yeah.
But it literally is an existential crisis, a crisis of existence. That's what's happening in the Pac-12. It is a crisis of existence. They may very well not exist in 2 years. That's how close they are. And the other thing that's interesting today is it was pointed out to me by a very close friend of mine in the TV business. Did anybody see what happened at YouTube today?
Yeah.
Their CEO quit.
Yeah.
They don't have a leader. So what does that mean?
Chill.
Everything
stops.
All new innovation, all new money, all of that stops until they have a leader in place. And by the way, did you see the CEO of YouTube quit before they announced the NFL Sunday Ticket?
You know.
They did not. They got that deal done, and she walked away.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal because I think YouTube TV and Larry Scott talked to us. We asked him about Google.
Yeah.
All those years ago.
I actually think it's on the channel too.
All those years ago, Larry Scott talked about the Google, talking to Google. I'm telling you, there's nowhere for the Pac-12 to go unless you're going to Tubi. Unless you're going to
I'm sorry, did you say Kubi?
Ron Kubi. No, I said Tubi TV, right? Or, like Amazon's got Amazon Freevee.
Yeah.
That nobody knows about. Free Amazon Freevee.
Does anybody in the chat, have you ever heard of Freevee?
Amazon Freevee is Amazon Prime Video, but for free. It's a very interesting landscape, man. And this story today, I'm telling you, it's garbage. What?
Yeah, Greg Hawkins' comment right there in the middle.
Let's see. Greg Hawkins says Pac-12 on OnlyFans after dark. Now, the halftime show is George Kliavkoff. No, I'm not going to. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Taking feet pics?
No, I was going to make a Yormark reach around Kliavkoff thing, but I ain't doing that. Let's see. Cyclone TV says Pluto TV. Andy H says they're going to Stadium. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. How about, but anybody see Shams got a deal with AT&T?
Oh, is that so?
Shams has an AT&T wireless commercial.
Attaboy.
How about that? I love it. Paul McNaught says the writing is on the wall. Which Pac-12 school pulls out first and when?
Another angle, dude. Who's going to be the first one? Because once the first one goes, that dam is going to break.